Welcome to the Football Terrace. You're live. We're live. It's the Champions League group stage draw for the 2023-24 campaign. Man City, the champions. United back in the mix. Arsenal return after a long absence, and Newcastle even longer than them. 4 English teams fighting out to become champions of Europe. 2 of them trying to repeat that feat. The other 2 trying to do it for the very first time. I'm joined by KJ today. Viewers, make sure like buttons are hit. You're subscribing. We're here throughout the whole process. We're adding more people to the stream later as well, so you know what to do. Stay with the Football Terrace. We're also going to give some updates on some transfers while we are live as well, because we know they're coming through thick and fast. But Champions League draw, KJ, talk to me. Man United back in it. Arsenal are there. Defending champion City, and a surprise package, really. Nobody predicted it last year, but Newcastle United are back. They are back in the Champions League.
You know what, yeah? I saw a tweet that had the new intro for the Champions League for this season. Listening to that glorious music, the champions, knowing that my team is going to be in it. Oh, it's just goosebumps down my spine, man. I'm like, yes, we're back, baby. So yeah, now looking forward to it. I always love Champions League draw day. It just sets you up nicely for like September, October, November, the winter period. Get your blood flowing for the matchups, and hopefully we get some good groups this year. And I just want to start off with Newcastle. I actually think teams are not going to want to have Newcastle in their group. I know the English teams get to skip out, but you're looking at like the PSGs, the Real Madrids, Barcelona, Bayern Munich. I think Newcastle will be one of those teams, especially being in pot 4 as well, where you look at it and it's like, damn, I actually don't want them. You know what I mean? I know they're inexperienced. I know it's their first time in a long time, but going away to St. James's Park on a European night, those Geordies are going to make it absolute hell for any team coming into that stadium. So I believe that will give them a massive boost. I think they will do well. I think they'll surprise people. Round of 16 is possible. It is. We've everything surrounding the club, the new owners, the Eddie Howe and the players. I think they're in for something special this year.
They could be. We'll put the pots up on the screen here. So as everyone can see, Newcastle are in pot 4. And look, they're going to have some big teams in their group. It is inevitable that is going to happen. You know, other than Man City, they can get anybody. You know, they can get Sevilla. Probably wouldn't be the worst idea for them. Final there as well. But Napoli, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Paris Saint-Germain, Benfica. They then have pot 2, which Real Madrid, Inter, Dortmund, you know, Porto, Ati. And even when you look into pot 3 with the likes of AC Milan as an example, PSV, some really decent teams, Lazio in that group, in that area as well. But I think Newcastle, depending on their group, will fancy their chances. If they get Bayern Munich and Real Madrid and AC Milan, then maybe the circumstance is different. But if they end up with a group, when you look at these pots, if they end up with Benfica, RB, maybe Copenhagen, Newcastle have got a chance of getting out of that group. 110%, in my personal opinion, they've got a chance of getting out of that group stage. How this impacts their Premier League season remains to be seen. There's a lot of people predicting that the Geordies will essentially crumble with having to play 2 games per week. What's really interesting is this debate's happened a lot in the last 2 seasons where fans, and it was a lot of fans like Igal actually who brought this to the fore. Arsenal will make top 4 2 years ago because we're playing 1 game a week. Towards the end of that season, the same fans, including Igal, were saying 1 game a week has kind of rest their rhythm up. A lot of footballers have spoken about it. 2 games a week, they feel keeps them sharper than 1 game per week. So this is a really interesting year for Man United, who we'll get onto, of course. Arsenal as well, for the first time in, I want to say it's 6 years, it might even be 7, since they've been in the Champions League. And for Newcastle, where there's going to be big chunks of the season where they will be playing 2 highly competitive games twice a week. We will really see whether that weakens a team or whether it sharpens them. Mm-hmm. So I think we're going to get answers. There's 3 teams really that are going into this. For Man United, we've been in the Champions League a few times in the last 4 or 5 years. But all three teams at the same time going back into this scenario, let's see if they get better or if they regress. I think it's a real big acid test to those theories that are flying around.
And that theory, I've always said that theory is pretty much nonsense. The whole, well, because we've got one game a week, we've got a better chance of getting Champions League. Because I think before Newcastle, the last team to get Champions League football without being in any kind of Europe beforehand was, I think, Leicester when they won the league. Before that, like during that period, I don't remember any team that's not been in Europe to then get Champions League. So to Newcastle do this is a big achievement. They've got, to be fair, they're in a win-win situation. They've got three scenarios. They get absolutely hammered and they just go out. Well, they can then just focus on the league, try and focus on a cup like an FA Cup or something, or the Carabao Cup. Cool. And then focus on trying to get as high as possible in the league. They do okay and end up third in Europa League. And you know what? Again, I think that would have been their perfect level for them last season, but they overachieved in the Champions League. But they end up in the Europa League. They've got a good chance of winning that. They do. Like Liverpool are in there. They got some decent teams in there. But you've seen them over the last season. You would fancy them to potentially go win the Europa League. And then if they do really well, they're through to the next round of the Champions League, which they haven't done in how long. So this is a win-win for Newcastle no matter what happens. Yeah, it'll be a bit embarrassing if they get slapped up, but they haven't been there for years, man. Literally, it's a free hit.
You're right. And Newcastle are in a position whereby they're so far ahead of the schedule. They were a team in relegation when Piff took over, a team in relegation when Eddie Howe came in, a team that was on its way out of the Premier League. You fast forward 18, 19, 20 months or so, 380 to 400 million pound investment, and they're a Champions League team. The fact they're being written off, like they won't do nothing, it's almost, for me, it's a fair analysis now, but it's almost people trying to bury their head in the sand for what's coming from this Newcastle team. They will progress. They will become a regular Champions League team, in my opinion, in the coming years. And look, are they going to win the Champions League this year? Not in my opinion. I know I always say nothing's impossible. I don't think they're ready to be able to do that yet. But this notion of just completely writing them off, acting as though they are just going to go out the group stage with a whimper, not perform, not deliver, I think is wrong. The English teams are very strong indeed. Just look at Europe in the last few years. We haven't won every European competition, but including the Conference League, Europa League, and the Champions League. Look how many finalists we've had in the last 4 or 5 years. So many. The English clubs are strong, and in my opinion, we are only going to collectively continue to get stronger. This here from Craig Lee says nobody in pot 1 or 2 wants Newcastle. Oh no, they want to avoid it. And this is Craig. You are spot on. When you look at those pots again, let me put them up on the screen here. When you look at, if you look at all the teams in pot 4, Newcastle were the team that everybody wants to avoid the most. You know, you've got, Real Sociedad in there. Listen, trust me, Young Boys and Celtic are the 2 teams everybody wants. They're the whipping boys.
And Antwerp in there as well.
You got Antwerp. You got Antwerp in there. Interesting. Union Berlin, are making their Champions League debut, I believe. I read that earlier on today. So you got Union Berlin, who make a bit of an unknown entity in that regard. We haven't seen him in the Champions League before, but I look at it and think, Celtic, they're not much cop. Rennes, same thing. I mean, Rennes don't even have a UEFA coefficient ranking. It's crazy. Nor the Newcastle, because they've been out so long. But the story of Newcastle
that's Lens, Terry, by the way.
Sorry,
that's RC Lens in the group, not Rennes. Rennes are a different team.
Lens, sorry. My apologies. Misread that. So yeah, look, nobody wants Newcastle 100%. Now, the next team I want to ask you about, and we'll do it in terms of where they finished in the Premier League last year, to be fair. Our club, Manchester United. How do you see this Champions League campaign with Erik ten Hag going?
I see it going how it's gone for the last how many different seasons we've been in the Champions League. It's always been difficult. We've never really gone into a Champions League season in the last few years where we feel like, yep, easy get through the group stage and we'll be confident. There's always been a hiccup here and there. There's always been games that we get surprised by, like Young Boys for one, from 2 seasons ago. we are so inconsistent in the Champions League. We'll have moments like Juve away, that 2-1 with Jose. We'll have moments like that. And then we'll have moments like Young Boys. We'll have moments like Besiktas. No, not Besiktas, sorry. No, Istanbul, sorry.
Istanbul, the team in
Yeah,
Istanbul.
Istanbul, yeah.
That's how bad it is. I've even forgot their name.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I don't see it changing anywhere. I think we'll need to really dig deep as a team in this Champions League. I don't think any team is a given per se. Like, if we get if we get Celtic, of course I'm gonna be confident going there and being able to go in there and be able to do a job. But we can't take anything for granted right now. Like, we're in a position where our team is not complete. The system needs tweaking. The Ten Hag already under scrutiny. New signings already under scrutiny. And going into this Champions League, if we underperform in any way, shape, or form, it could just hinder the confidence so much for the season to come. So yeah, I think ours is the stickiest. Out of all the 4 English teams, I think we have the most pressure, and I think we have the most inconsistency in us to actually just. We could either drop into the Europa League, or we could go on and get into the round of 16 easy. Like, that's just what we are right now in the Champions League. I'm not fully confident.
I mean, listen, there's a lot of pressure on Ten Hag. I see, rival fans telling us he's Oli 2.0, which is incorrect because he's won the trophy. But I hear you. There's some that say that they think he's a fraud. This is a man who over a year ago, let's say from about March 2022 backwards, everybody rated. City were eyeing him up as a long-term replacement to Pep. And look, I think that he gets a raw deal sometimes. Of course, the expectations on a Man United manager is higher than any other manager in the league. We're the biggest team and we're everybody's rival. So our fans demand a lot, and rivals. Listen, Man United could win a treble and they would criticize us. It's just the way it goes. But when I'm being fair and objective, I'm not worried about the group stages per se. Again, if you look at the possible opponents, because we're in pot 2, there is the possibility for a mammoth game. A Barcelona, a Bayern Munich, a PSG. You could also pick up Benfica, or you could get Feyenoord. I'm not too worried. Sevilla, listen, they knocked us out last year. I wouldn't mind a little bit of the last team that knocked us out of the Europa League that we then faced the following season in the Champions League was Villarreal, and we did well against them. So for me, I think we'll get through the group stages. It's a really hard one to judge because so far this season, we haven't seen much progression at all from Man United. We actually played quite well against Forest after we conceded those 2 goals, but you can't ignore them. And the first 2 games really and truly were atrocious. So right now, confidence is riding quite low. But come the end of this weekend, there could be a completely different feeling about Man United. If we go and beat Arsenal, suddenly people go, oh, what are United cooking this year? Again, we get battered by Arsenal, and suddenly that lack of confidence is compounded further. I think Man United this year, though, I think we can make the quarterfinals. I really do. And the last Champions League campaign was the strangest one we had, that season under Oli, because we scraped through the group stages, and then the game against Ati was the weirdest game ever, where we really shouldn't have gone out. They weren't very good and we couldn't do anything. The team was disjointed. The year before that, going out in the group stages, especially after we started it by winning in Paris, was so frustrating.
Yep.
So I know there's a lot of jaded Man United fans, but I do believe we'll make it out of the groups, and I think we can make it to a quarterfinal. The signing of Amrabat, getting that over the line in the next few days, is going to be absolutely imperative to Manchester United, because we need that extra steel in midfield. We've got Champions League winners in the likes of Casemiro and Varane in our team, Champions League finalists with the likes of Onana. But bringing in Amrabat's going to be key. European experience, big World Cup experience, big tournament experience is going to be key. And the player I'm looking forward to seeing the most in the Champions League, 2 of them actually, Marcus Rashford, who's got a decent record in Champions League, and Erasmus Højlund. I know he's not kicked a ball for us yet, but I'm very, very excited about watching this kid play for Man United under the floodlights, Champions League nights. I've got a real good feeling about this kid. So the reason I'm not going to completely write us off at this point is because we've still got 2 or 3 players to come into this first team, then gel them together, And I think there's more levels to come from this team. At this point, I don't believe that Ten Hag is this fraud that some Man United fans and a lot of rival fans are calling him out to be. This time last year, we were saying exactly the same thing. That made me... I'm muting it. That made me jump. I didn't know what that was.
It came on.
In my ears. It literally made me jump. But yeah, so this time last year, everyone was writing Man United off, and I'm not gonna panic and do that at this point.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I say it's gonna be tough, and it's gonna be a kind of a jaded group stage, but that doesn't mean I don't believe we'll go through. Like, I believe we'll go through, and I believe quarterfinals is something that is achievable for Man United. We've seen it even last season against Barcelona. Many fans, rival fans, even Man United fans themselves, we saw Barcelona and we thought, crap, like this is us going out. But we overcame, so we overcome. So we have got the ability to overcome hard ties. It's just the consistency going forward. But I believe we can get through. Round of 16 is what I expect. Quarterfinals is what we should be getting. And anything beyond that is overachieving, in my opinion, with the team and the place that we're at. So yeah, man, let's flip and go, baby.
Listen, and what I'm liking in the comments is a lot of people saying what I expected. Terry's deluded. There's no way you're getting to the quarterfinals. They will be the same people if we do get to the quarterfinals, or if we got to a semi-final and I said, oh, wow, we've overachieved, would say, but you should be there. Maybe based on the money we spent, we should be. But if you don't think our squad's good, like viewers, where do you believe Man United are going to end up in this Champions League? Let us know now in the comments section. Of course, people, by the way, smash this like button. Let's get past 2,000 likes while we are live. What's the actual poll saying right now on that? Most people think 43% think we're going to get to 2,000 likes. So let's make sure we get that done. Chris here, speaking of Arsenal, he says here, Hopium, Arsenal, Feyenoord, Copenhagen, Antwerp. I mean, listen, when it comes to Arsenal predictions, what are you saying? Because again, a little bit like Newcastle and a little bit like Man United, people are writing Arsenal's Champions League hopes off. People are literally saying there's no chance, not happening. Arsenal are not doing anything in this competition. How do you see this Champions League campaign going for Arsenal?
I can see them having a good return to the Champions League. I think the fans are very happy. I think they will give them a lift as a club to be back in there. Players will step up. First time for players like Saka, Martinelli in the Champions League. I think they'll rise to the occasion. They've been wanting to do this for a few seasons now, and they're finally here. I think they'll do well. If you look at the teams in like pot 2 and 3, pot 3 and 4, I think Arsenal could beat all of them. Like Arsenal could beat all of them in those pots. So that is what your 6 points home and away. That's what 12 points. If they can beat those two, whoever they get from pot 3 and 4, that's them in the group stage. So I think they can do it. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, looking at that again, I know what people will refer to. They'll say, well, what about Arsenal's Europa League performances last year? Well, their Europa League performances included rotating lots of their main first-team players out and giving fringe players an opportunity. In my opinion, that won't happen. That won't happen to the same degree this year. When I look at pot 3, genuinely, there's not a team in pot 3 that's as good as Arsenal. In pot 4, you could argue Newcastle, but they can't get them over 2 one-off games. But there's nobody in pot 4 that's on Arsenal's level. In fact, when you look at all the teams in pot 2, I would say only Real Madrid, you could argue, are better than Arsenal. I think Arsenal beat every other team in there if you were to ask people for their predictions. So it's all on paper. So they're one of the best teams in this tournament this year, Arsenal, when they're playing at their best. Now, what you have to factor in is how they cope with European football. The club doesn't have the pedigree and the heritage, and that does play a part. Fans handling the pressure on Champions League nights, knockout nights, the players almost not letting it get into their head that, our Champions League record, our European record isn't particularly great. They've got to learn to circumnavigate that. However, I just look at it and think, unless they get a real stinker of a group, and what's the toughest group they could get? You could argue Bayern Munich, followed by maybe AC Milan, followed by Sociedad, maybe. Even if they get the toughest group possible, Arsenal, in my opinion, are getting out of the group stages this year. I am so confident of that. Just like I am with Newcastle, I think Newcastle can do it. I think Man United will do it. And I think Arsenal as well will get themselves out of the Champions League group stages this year. I think their team is too good not to. Equally, just like with Man United, I do not buy into this early season hype that because they haven't started like a freight train, their season is over. It is far too premature. It is over the top. And it doesn't even, it beggars belief that people lack enough football knowledge to write top teams off after the first 2 or 3 performances of a season. Now, that doesn't mean Arsenal are winning it. But the way I've seen people talk online is as though Arsenal are not even going to get themselves out of the group stages. They're going to completely flop. I disagree completely. And if this Arsenal team starts to get some confidence in the Champions League, they can progress beyond the quarterfinals, in my opinion. Yeah. The English teams are so strong and are of such a high quality in European football compared to the majority of other countries. As long as they don't bottle it, they could go to at least the semi-finals, Arsenal, in my opinion. I really do think they can.
You got to remember as well, people bring up Arsenal's Europa League performances in recent years. It's never been the group stages that have struggled. It's always been the two-legged ties, semi-finals, final, the round of 16s. That's when they struggle. So to say, but look at their record in Europa League, that means they'll flop in the Champions League, not in the group stages. They'll be fine in the group stages. They will have at least 2 teams who are not as good as them. In like guaranteed 2 teams that are not as good as them. If you beat them both home and away, you're through. Then you've just got to manage how do you go about beating the team from pot 1? How do you beat your Bayern Munichs, your PSGs, your Barcelonas? How do you get past them? That's the only thing they've got to really focus on in terms of the big challenge. But the other guys, I know Europe is hard. I know it's difficult, and these teams will rise to the occasion in the Champions League night. But as long as Arsenal don't take things for granted, they could breeze through their group by beating the 2 other teams that are in their group.
What do you make of comments such as this that say that Arsenal's league form will drop this year because they have to play strong teams in Europe?
We said that about Man City, that because they're going to the Champions League final, that means they can't win the league, or that they'll be weaker because of it. No, we've just discussed 2 games a week for many players is what keeps them going, keeps them high level. This is what players live for. So I don't think their league form will drop because of the Champions League. Their league form will drop because they drop. You know what I mean? It's got nothing to do with another competition. It'll be all on them. There's no excuses for Arsenal to not perform well in both Champions League and in the league. They're that good. They're good enough. This isn't Newcastle. They're not Newcastle. We can argue that might have an effect on them. This isn't like Brighton, who are going to be in the Europa League for the first time, or they've just made it to the Champions League for the first time, and they've got their small squad. This is Arsenal. Their form should be not affected by the Champions League.
I totally agree. And look, Arsenal, I think, will get out the group stages fairly comfortably. I think, look, Newcastle, I don't think will be a whitewash. They're not going to walk away with 12 to 15 points. It'll be a lot closer. But I think they'll get out those group stages, there's no doubt. But again, people say things like, their players are going to be tired or they might get injuries. How can they cope with both? You do realize that all clubs are going to be getting injuries. All the big clubs in England, barring Chelsea, and you could argue Tottenham, all the other teams in contention for top 4, including the Brightons and the Villas that are predicted to do much better this year, they're all going to be playing 2 games per week. And they're going to take the Europa League fairly seriously. All those teams are going to suffer injuries. What I don't like when it comes to Arsenal and Man United is the way in which people say, yeah, but what about when you get injuries? Well, what about when everyone else gets injuries? What about when everyone else has to play 2 games per week? The only 2 teams that potentially have an advantage are Spurs and Chelsea. However, like we said earlier, there is a train of thought that comes from the footballers themselves where they state they feel better, they feel sharper playing 2 games per week. They actually say there's less time to dwell on the upcoming games, because you're spending all your time prepping for matches and then recovering. And just as you finish the other game and the recovery from it, you've got a day until the next match. And that's really, really key. We'll bring D-Man in soon. We just need balance. We just need the balance on the screen before we do it. We'll wait for the boys are going to be on soon before the draw starts. We've got some more comments that have come through here I want to put up. First one here says, United's transfer window is a shambles. No planning, no seriousness, only panic, panic, panic. Hope everyone is sacked after we get sold. Listen, again, I'm going to get called a Glazer supporter here. There is planning because Amrabat is a target the manager wanted. The execution's been terrible. Mount, Rasmus Højlund, and Onana, they were all targets we wanted. So there's been planning around who we want. The execution and the available money to the manager to get these deals over the line and the struggle of selling people, that is 110% on the owners and the board of the football club. So, Jay, I get where you're coming from, but I think there's some elements slightly wrong, but I get where you're coming from, bro. Was going to watch this on TV, but decided to support the channel. Love your unbiased views on things and just talk football and not narratives. Come on, you gooners. Thank you, Greg. And do you know what I'd say? Listen, you could have it on your TV and us. Do you know what I'm saying? You can do a little bit of both.
Just mute them, man. We don't want to hear their analysis.
Yeah, just mute it and react. Absolutely. Cedric here says, Man United are 3 points up compared to this time last season. How is that a flop? Well, that's also, listen, if we lose this weekend to Arsenal, we'll be where we were for 4 games.
Basically the same.
But if we get a draw or beat them, then we're ahead of where we are. And that's what I'm saying. It's almost a case of people have got to slow down with completely writing off a team's season after 3 games, or overhyping it and saying we're winning things. And there was a comment earlier that says that Terry thinks that all the English clubs are going to win the Champions League. Saying that I think Newcastle and Arsenal and Man United will get out the group stages is not the same as saying I think they're going to win the Champions League. Are you sure Arsenal beat Inter and Atletico?
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure they beat them, but I believe they've got a better team. There's a difference between saying they've got a better team and I guarantee 100% they beat them. They're different statements and different conversations. But in my opinion, Arsenal would get more of their players into those first teams than vice versa. Therefore, they have the better team. That's how I sort of define it. And I think as a collective, listen, Inter did really well in that final against City and could have done some business. Atletico, I don't think they're all that much cop at the minute, if I'm being honest with you. We saw what happened to the Spanish teams last year in Europe against listen, I know Liverpool got smashed up by Real Madrid on the counter-attack, but, City kind of brushed them aside with ease. Look what Man United did to them in Europe, to Barcelona, in Europe. It wasn't that difficult. That's the best 2 teams. You start going further down that pecking order. I know we got beat by Sevilla.
Sevilla, let's get it right. Sevilla in the Europa League is not natural. It's not right. They get legit. They get superpowers in the Europa League. I guarantee you, put Man City in the Europa League against Sevilla, and they'll still lose to Sevilla.
But in fairness, though, Europe, Sevilla could have beaten City in the Super Cup. They just missed all their chances after going 1-0 up. So they are a good team, but yeah, listen, David De Gea and Maguire that night, that's what cost us. Arsenal's form tends to be good when involved in different competitions. In fact, the form drops whenever they get knocked out. Ironically, last year, Arsenal were better when they were in the Europa League than when they were out of it. So it's a very good point you've raised there. If Brighton won the Europa and Arsenal win the Champions League, people would still only say Brighton won in Europe first. I can see the tweets now.
Well, technically, they would have technically, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, technically they would be right. But remember, Arsenal fans, I don't get the Arsenal won nothing in Europe. They've won the Cup Winners' Cup. And I don't understand why that. I don't get why people don't accept that as a trophy. I do. Man United won it with Fergie.
It's just age, isn't it? Like we never grew up.
I suppose it's the younguns, isn't it? The younguns never saw it. It was finished as a comp before they were born. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the kids don't know about the UEFA Cup. Obviously, it's the Europa League, but the UEFA Cup, boy, that used to bang.
Exactly. Nish, thank you very much for becoming a member. Jelly Spoon as well, and II Skills for all becoming members. Nish also with the super chat. He didn't say anything, but I appreciate it massively. We've got D-Man and Tom Little with us now. Obviously, we won't be talking very much about Liverpool today and their hopes of picking up who they're going to get in the group stage. But D-Man, before we move on to Man City, in terms of your club, Newcastle, how excited are you about being back in this competition and who you're going to get in your group today?
I'm very excited. It's been a long time coming, 20, 21 years, something like that. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of teams we get. Part of me wants to get some of the big boys to make it interesting. Traveling to those away, like the Bernabéus, the Allianz and the Nou Camp, whatever. But part of me wants to get the slightly weaker teams like the Feyenoords, the Braga, stuff like that. So it makes it easier for us to progress. But very excited overall. Just can't wait for the draw to be honest, see who we get. But it's exciting times. Exciting times back in Europe, back with the big boys. Can't wait.
A quick one. Where are you guys watching this? I actually can't find it.
I'm watching TNT Sport.
TNT Sport.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know why I didn't say it was live. It's live. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So it's live over there. No one wants to listen to their dead punditry, but just keep the draw up, people, and stay with the football terrace for this. Man City, though, boys. Man City, defending champions. Now, you all know my theory on this. They are the favourites on paper to win it again because they're the best team in Europe. But going back-to-back is a feat in the modern-day Champions League era. It's only been done once, and they did a three-peat, and that's by Real Madrid. Most champions do not win it again. Does that history impact City's ability to do it again? Or, Tom, do you see this Man City team being the first English side in the Champions League era to retain a Champions League title and move on to 2 European Cups?
I think they've got the best chance to do it. I mean, they're favourites for a reason. They haven't really got weaker. Losing Gundogan's a big loss, but I think they've actually moved to strengthen the squad in a lot of places. I think the addition of Jeremy Doku gives that side some much needed pace on the wing, which is something I thought they lacked last year. And I don't necessarily think the other teams in the competition have gotten strong enough to beat them across 2 legs. I think the best team left, in my opinion, to face them is Bayern Munich because of the addition of Kane. But you're asking an awful lot of Harry Kane, who's never really had a great history in the big moments. I'd say they're the closest competitors. I still think City are so comfortable low. Real Madrid, the lack of a recognised number 9, losing Benzema and replacing him with Joselu.
I want to say
that's
something.
going to struggle for them.
I think Jude Bellingham is the difference between them challenging for the Champions League and not. I think the way that he's come into that club, the way that he's embraced the heritage and the way that he's performing, he's got the number 5 foot shirt of Zidane. Boy, I would not put it past Real Madrid to go all the way and Jude Bellingham being the driving force behind that. Because look what he was doing for Dortmund in Champions League.
They've got Kepa in goal, though.
Yeah, true. I think Real Madrid are their closest competitors, though. I think you're right. I think they're closer than Bayern Munich. I don't trust Tuchel. I know he's won it before with Chelsea, but I don't trust him. I think Real Madrid with Ancelotti, with experience, they've won it before, previously so many times. I don't think you can count them out because Man City, they're favourites every year, whether they win it or not. They're favourites every year with the bookies, but they are hitting their stride. But it's going to be very difficult to retain it. Like I said, in the modern era, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. So I'm not sure.
I just think the fact that they were able to do the treble last season with that, like what we all say, it's a target on your head. Once you've won it, you become the big head to take for teams next year. Can we beat the reigning champions? The reason why I think that won't really impact them is because they had a bigger target on the head last season. Everyone wanted to beat them to be the team to stop the treble, and no one could do it. And I don't think that squad has necessarily gotten worse.
So with Man City, though, apparently they're going to win the Premier League again to do the 4-peat. And I was saying they're just going to win the Champions League. So they're going to do a treble, a 3-peat treble, then a 4-peat retaining of the Champions League double. Like they
could retain the treble. That's a realistic possibility.
But what's crazy? If they just this year retain the Prem or just retain the Champions League or just retain the FA Cup, this team is still sensational. if they do back-to-back Champions Leagues, I know Nottingham Forest did it. Have Liverpool ever gone back-to-back in the Champions League or the European Cup?
77 and 78.
Okay, so you've done it in that era. So they'd only be the third English team ever to do that. But doing it in the Champions League era is harder than the European Cup era. And I say that because you have teams that have come second, third, and fourth that win other tournaments that are now in this competition. So we've all seen teams can come second one year and be Liverpool, a prime example. You won the Champions League under Klopp, having not won the league the year before, right? So you wouldn't have been in it in the old version, meaning it would have been easier for all the league title winners if you weren't there. So it's harder now to retain it, in my opinion, than in years gone by because it's a bigger competition with more high-quality teams in it. So if City were to do something mad and retain that Champions League, and by the way, retain that Premier League, it goes without saying that they become the greatest English team of all time, in my opinion. Based on the records they've broken, the amount of trophies, this sort of 6 to 7 year period would be unprecedented. They'd be winning the Premier League. By the way, now when it's at one of the hardest stages the Premier League's ever been, not the hardest, but one of the hardest I think it's been, when European football now is very hard, but to keep winning it all and repeating it all and going back to back would be phenomenal for them. And they are the favourites right now.
If he did that, sorry, to cut you, if he was to do that, would you cast Pep as better than Fergie?
Yeah, I would know. I would a back-to-back treble or a 4P and a back-to-back.
Look, if he does a 4P in the Prem, wins 2 Champions Leagues on the bounce, goes to 4 Champions Leagues in totality. The only thing Fergie has over him is I think more trophies in totality, but it'll be gaining on him quickly. So the answer would be, it pains me with a heavy heart to say it, but yes, because I have to be consistent, and I always am when it comes to my views. I judge managers on what they have achieved. And if you're achieving things and winning things, the guy's already done 2 trebles. So, like, he's already done 2 trebles. Fergie only did 1. Now, so if he went on to do it, I mean, if he went and did that a third time, it becomes unprecedented, and he is the GOAT. And you just have to hold your hands up and say, fair enough. The only painful element of Fergie being knocked off the top is that he's doing it with one of our biggest rivals. I could take it if he was doing this with Real Madrid, Barca, Bayern, but that would hurt probably more than Fergie himself being knocked off. But listen, this City team is sensational. I wanted to ask about a few of the other European teams. So you've already mentioned them slightly. Bayern Munich, have they done enough this window to bridge the gap? Because they were outclassed by Man City last year. Kane has come in. They might be getting Paulinho, who I think will give their midfield so much more bite. Are they going to have enough this year, Bayern Munich, to compete genuinely to win it again?
I think they've strengthened really well. I really do think they have. I mean, I think Paulinho would be such a good signing for them in the basis that it frees up Kimmich. Right now, they've got Kimmich doing the dirty work, and I think a player of Kimmich's quality deserves to be on the ball more. And right now, that role currently goes to Leon Goretzka, who Bayern fans seemingly don't want anymore. Their attack has always been good. You can't rule out an attack that has Kane, Sane, Gnabry, Coman, Musiala, Matthias Tell. That's a really good attack. I think Kim Min-jae at the back, really good. I think that one's sort of been brushed to the wayside because it got done so early in the window. He was one of the most in-demand centre-backs. Bayern have got him through the door. They finally not starting Deo Upamecano week in, week out. Honest to God, they were never going to win a Champions League with him as their starting centre-back. Him and Matthias, I don't think Matthias de Ligt is that much better in terms of the mistakes, but I think he's a better defender overall. I think Kim Min-jae can keep him in line. I just think that Bayern team is so good up until the goalkeeper. I do wonder about the goalkeeping situation. Is Manuel, obviously Manuel Neuer missed the second half of last season with that leg break from his skiing accidents.
Yeah.
They've been trying to get a keeper in all summer. They've ended up getting money for like 5 million, but he's clearly no Manuel Neuer. I think to win the Champions League, you need a top keeper to bail you out in these knockout games at points. And I've not seen enough of this new keeper. Other options, Fernel Reich, there's a reason he's been number 2 for God knows how many years at Bayern. If Neuer is able to come back and be close to his level that he was beforehand, then Bayern have a shot. But right now, I just think that is what's going to cost them in the key moments.
They've operated very strangely, Bayern Munich, than what we're used to. Big money signings. Like they're sold Pavard, but they haven't got their replacement lined up yet. They've been targeting players like apparently McTominay. They was looking at Eric Dyer apparently. So it's not been the typical swift Bayern Munich we're used to when it comes to like the transfers coming in and the smart recruitment. But if they do get the Paulinho, if they do get the Harry Kane, and they've got the Kim Min Jae with that as well, you've got to say they have to be up there. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to say they like with the money invested as well, because these players ain't cheap. They have to go all the way.
Harry Kane's a game changer for me. So last year against City, yes, in the second leg they got blown away. But in the first leg, they had so many gilt-edged chances, but they had no one of a prolific nature to put them away. Harry Kane changes that profusely. I think if and when Paulinho comes in, he's already agreed the 5-year deal. He changes that midfield. And I think you're bang on with Kimmich pushing further forward. It's a brand new dynamic that suddenly they have in terms of, or not a brand new dynamic, but a new dynamic for this season. Kim at the back is excellent. I don't think they're the favourites, but I think they compete, and they've got such a top chance of winning it this year with the additions of Kim, potentially Paulinho, and of course one of the best strikers in the world, Harry Kane, who I think, and I'm predicting this now, is going to score in all comps. In my view, he's scoring 45-ish goals this season for Bayern Munich. He's going to absolutely kill it because
he scored more than Haaland. They scored more than Haaland this season.
I don't know if he'll score more than Haaland in all comps, because Haaland is an animal, but I think it'll be closer than last year. But then it is slightly easier to score in Germany than it is England. So will they be worth as much? The viewers can debate that, but I think he'll score around 45 goals all competitions this year, Harry Kane. I think he's on 3 in 2 games already. So
what does it do for his legacy if Bayern do go all the way and he performs and he wins the Champions League in his debut season? What does that do for his legacy in terms of like
huge?
Yeah,
huge for me. For one, if he so go on, Cage.
Yeah. For one, it shows that Spurs was actually the problem, as always, when it comes to winning trophies. But 2, it proves that all he needed was the stage to perform and be at the highest level, and he would deliver. I know he's been to finals with Spurs, but he hasn't performed. But if he can actually go to the Champions League final, maybe score a goal and win that Champions League, he can now start sitting at tables where his talent deserves him to be. Like it's just simple as that.
I couldn't agree with you more. Because the goals he's already got make him knock on the door of legendary status in football because of the goal record that he has. England's highest goal scorer, Spurs' highest goal scorer, one of the best goal scoring records in Premier League history. But there are no trophies. If he starts to add, if he scored 40 goals this season, all comps, good goal scoring record in the Champions League, and Bayern Munich win it, plus they're going to win their league. We know they're already going to win that. Suddenly he moves into a different category of player because he has that silverware. And what he'll have, which he doesn't have right now, he's got it in the North London derby. He's got great goals in that will be played forever because it's a historic fixture. But if they win it this year, Harry Kane will score at least 2 or 3 goals along the way that will be remembered by Bayern Munich fans and European fans and Champions League fans forever. The same way as Rodri's goal last year will be remembered. The same way as Gareth Bale's overhead kick, Zidane's volley, Ollie's goal, Liverpool's comeback, the Gerrard goal in that as an example. There are certain, and listen, the viewers will probably name more goals than I'm mentioning. Mario Götze, that was a World Cup. Sorry, my head's gone. But you get where I'm coming from. There are certain people that you have to get those goals on the way to winning great things for the legacy to truly stick, that transcends outside your football club and outside the competition that you're in solely. And I think if he does that, he becomes a bona fide legend of the game.
No, I agree.
Because he ain't right now. He's a legend that got scoring goals, but I don't put him in the legends camp. There's too many players that have won things, that have delivered like him, for him to be in there. Yeah, I'm very stringent on that. What about the big Spanish boys? What about Barcelona? Barcelona first. How do we see them faring? Because there's a lot of people that think Barcelona are going to have a terrible season.
No, they won't have a terrible season.
Have they made out the groups the last 2 times?
They got knocked out
last
last
time.
Last year they didn't. I don't remember that.
Or they were in the. I know they've been in the Europa League the last 2 years, so I don't know if one of the years they ended up there. I look at this Barcelona squad, and it always just, to me, ceases to perform. I think they've got a lot of talented players. I think they've got an incredibly talented midfield. You know, Pedri's one of the best in the world. Lewandowski's a goal threat. He always has been in the Champions League. And I think the defence is one of the strongest in Europe, but it just doesn't seem to click for them on the European stage. And if they get another draw where they end up with a big side in the group stage and they end up with even like a Galatasaray in their group as well, I could really see them struggling. I could really see something happening where they end up third again, because although I think Xavi has done really well at Barcelona, I think the big thing has been he's struggled in Europe, and that squad has never really been complete in Europe. There's always been injuries or suspensions or this, that, and the other. And I just feel that you could have it for a third year in a row with them, where let's say they draw an Arsenal and a Galatasaray and a AC Milan, and they end up third. Just because they struggle away from home, and then there's a shock result at the new camp, and all of a sudden it looks a lot different for Barcelona. And out of them and Real Madrid, even though Real Madrid have the bigger concerns at the minute of Kepa in goal, I still think they're just best. I just think they would get further, just on the fact that they've done it in the past.
And on Real Madrid, D, Bellingham has gone in, but Benzema is now gone. Have Real Madrid done enough this summer? Again, we saw outclassed by Man City. And look, maybe City get knocked out by somebody else and they don't play them, but have Real Madrid done enough, in your opinion, to get themselves back into Champions League winning contention, or are they already there in your view?
I think they're there in contention. I think what makes them not favourites is the Benzema loss, and Joselu coming in. I don't think he's that guy, that clutch player that you need at when it comes to the nitty-gritty, the semi-finals and stuff like that. But they're always going to be there with that because of their experience. They know how to win this competition. But the Bellingham signing is huge, like KJ said. I think he could be the difference if they do go on to win it. I just think centre forward wise, that's where they may, and obviously the keeper. I think those two positions, which are two key positions when it gets to the later stages, I think that might harm them. But again, it depends on the draw. I mean, if Man City get knocked out surprisingly, they can do it.
The thing with Real Madrid, we're talking about Benzema. I understand he's a big loss to have, but if you look at what they've been playing a 4-4-2 diamond with two split strikers or two wide forwards in Vinicius and Rodrigo. I know Vinicius is injured now, but they've adapted to play a way that they don't need that focal point number 9 right now, and I don't think it'll be that much of an issue in the Champions League potentially if Vinicius is fit for the latter stage of the competition with Bellingham, and if they play Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Valverde in that diamond 4, we've got Cruz and Modric. I'm telling you now, that missing a striker is not gonna hinder them whatsoever.
Is there an update on Vinicius' injury yet?
I read it was 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay,
so that
won't impact him too much. But I mean, again, I think draws are important. But Real Madrid, again, I see getting through a group stage. I don't see them having too much of an issue with that. They typically get out of there. It's just how it all clicks. But Jude Bellingham has been nothing short of a sensation since he's arrived. I believe he's the first new signing in their club's history to win the La Liga Player of the Month this early in. So yeah, look, it's very intriguing. Yeah, it's very intriguing indeed to see what he's going to do. The draw is going to be starting soon, people. So please stay with us. Please hit like buttons. I think the procedure, I was reading the procedure here while you were all talking. I think what they do is they draw out who pot 1 first. So you won't know who anybody's going to get. First of all, you just know what pot number they're in. So it's not until they start. And the thing is, it's not until they start doing pot 2 does it start getting exciting. So we will keep you posted on what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. So stay with the Football Terrace this afternoon. Give us your thoughts and your feelings. Big question I want to ask now, though, and maybe you'll change your mind after we see the group stages. But I don't want your answers yet. But think about who you think is going to win it this year. I want your predictions. Super chats first here. It says no Champions League for Tom. I see Chelsea got another under 23. They are collecting more kids than the Magic school bus.
Europa League's
Yeah, they
better
are.
anyway, mate. Thursday nights.
Sorry, mate.
Europa League's better anyway. Thursday night. Yeah, I'm just I'm trying to embody what Arsenal fans were for the past 6 years.
Oh, yeah, no, I listen.
I hear you. Europeans don't understand entertainment. Americans would have the Amigos performing on the prep stage. Why is she playing saxophone?
Because it's class, mate. This is the Champions League, not flipping the
Do
Super
you lot
Bowl.
remember Camila Cabello
yeah,
when she
this
done
is
the
not-
pre-match show and she had to go when the fans weren't listening to her
I'll
songs?
be honest with you. I'll be absolutely honest with you. There should be nothing. It should start and there's a draw and it's done. It should take 20 minutes. That's how it should be done. Like all this tomfoolery is crazy. Let me guess. Barca has a tough group. We will see when that gets announced. Bayern fan here. We missed Arsenal all these years. Well, I have seen a clip of Igal not screaming, but calling. He wants Bayern Munich. He says he wants Bayern Munich in the Champions League. So listen, viewers, let me know what you think and feel about that.
Listening.
Matt here says, hey guys, an American Bayern fan here. I haven't been into football for very long, but I'd like to get into it. How does the Champions League draw work?
Wow, they've just explained it on TNT Sports.
Yeah. So essentially, you've got, I'll break it down real quickly. You have 4 pots, as you can see here. And one team from each pot goes into a group to make up 8 groups in the Champions League. Now, in the group stages, you cannot play against a team from the same country as you. So, for instance, Man City and Man United cannot be in the same pot. Bayern Munich and Union Berlin cannot be in the same pot. That's all you really need to know at this stage. And they play each other twice. And then the top 2 teams go through to the knockout stages of the competition. And what I'll say is digest that for now. And then in the knockout stages for those draws, we'll explain the next bit to you. Otherwise, you'll forget. I'm a Barca fan. I'm scared. I hear you. It's going to be intriguing to see what happens. It truly is.
Yeah, Terry, but when we're talking about the foreign teams, the European teams, we forgot about one. PSG. We forgot about PSG.
PSG. No one thinks about PSG. They're not a real team. They're not a real club. No, but listen, they've got rid of Mbappe's probably still going to be there, but Neymar, Messi have gone. They're going for a lot of like French players now, and sort of they're looking like they're not trying to do the Galactico thing. It might help them. It may help them. So, boys, who is winning the Champions League in your opinion, KJ?
You know what? No, I'm gonna stick to my guns. Real Madrid. They're making their comeback. They're gonna surprise people with this team. The PMP and technical ability in the midfield, the brilliance of Bellingham, the speed of Vinicius and Rodrigo, and the solid defense that they can have. No matter what Kepa does in those nets, Madrid can make up for it. I want to say Real Madrid. They're very, very. I like their team a lot this year.
Okay. They're starting to bring out the names now, but because this bit doesn't really matter. D, who's winning the Champions League?
I'm going to be boring and say Man City, simply because I can't see. I think Real Madrid will be the closest challengers. It could be a final, but other than that, I don't see any team strong enough to challenge them. They've got the monkey off their back with the first wing. You know, they want to retain it. They know it'll be one of the first few teams to retain it. So the quality that they haven't got weaker, in my opinion. I think it's Man City.
Man City, Tom?
I'll go Bayern. I quite like what Bayern have got going on. If they're able to get Joao Paulinho through the door, I think it's a very well-balanced side. They're always a team you can't count out in Europe. Always. And I just feel that this is the moment for Harry Kane to finally stamp his authority on the history books and actually have a memorable thing that isn't being the best player to have never won a trophy. I think that squad is built perfectly around him. I think a front four, Ciala, Sane, Coman, Kane, that's arguably the best in the tournament. They
That makes
finally,
sense.
made a solid midfield duo in Kimmich and Palhinha. The defense is always going to be a worry, but I just think they could outscore teams if it gets to that point. So I'm going to go Bayern.
Yeah. I think Bayern got a great shout. Real Madrid, City are the clear favourites, but I'm going to go a little bit left field. Man United. I'm joking. I don't think we will. No, I'm gonna go with Bayern Munich as well. I think they'll come back. In terms of the group so far, so Group A, Bayern Munich. Group B is Sevilla. Group C is Napoli. Group D is Benfica. Group E is Feyenoord. Group F is Paris Saint-Germain. Group G is Man City. And Group H is Barcelona. So I know the feed hasn't got to that bit yet, but I've got someone feeding this to me who's there. So I'm ahead of the game because I got connections. So yes. So
Yeah, don't do that for the actual other parts of the draw, Terry, please.
what? I'll just be ahead of the game on this. I'm just ahead of the game. I know it all already. So what have we seen right now on YouTube? Is it just Napoli's names come out?
Group F, as the PSG
just come out.
PSG just come out. Yeah. So just so you all know that I'm ahead of the game here. Man City are Group G, and Group H is Barcelona. I'm just saying, just so you all know that I got connections at UEFA. That's what I'm saying.
He hasn't. He's just watching it live on the proper stream. He's watching on his TV. So...
No. No, but what I'm saying is, I won't do. I'm just gonna. You're reacting to us. So I'm gonna tell you, I won't do that next time. But right now, it's not ruining it.
Yeah, it doesn't ruin it. But
don't matter what group they're in right now, does it? So here we go. Pot 2 is starting. So right when we get these names out, I'll be updating you. So, and I'm going to know ahead of these guys. So you guys will be reacting to this. Pot 2 is starting very soon, I believe. Very, very soon, I believe.
Yeah,
Do
part 2, the graphics coming up. Yeah, this part I like. There's Real Madrid, and I didn't see Man United and our little clip.
I see Man
Clip they use.
Good Lord.
Yeah. Oh,
Here we go. Man United, here we go. Wait.
I'm ahead of you then.
Well, Rash's long range against Benfica. I mean, Betis. I can do that.
Yeah, they're showing who the Pot 2 names are now. Remember, people, for the viewers at home that are watching us, Pot 2 is Real Madrid, Manchester United, Inter Milan, Borussia Dortmund, Atletico Madrid, RB Leipzig, FC Porto, and of course, Arsenal Football Club. That is Pot 2. That is Pot 2 as it stands right now. How do you boys think Arsenal will go? Me and KD have spoken about it. How do you boys see Arsenal doing?
Round of 16, and then they should be making quarterfinals, arguably semi-finals, with how good I think their squad can be.
Semi-finals?
All it takes is a lucky draw in the quarters. There's always one of them like Benfica's or Porto's who make it there. If you draw them, the expectation changes. I mean, ultimately, for me, I just think this squad...
So, guys, the first one name has come out. Borussia Dortmund are in Group F with Paris Saint-Germain. So Borussia Dortmund in Group F with Paris Saint-Germain. So the draw's happening now. So we'll come back to that Arsenal chat in a minute. Another name is now being drawn out of the proverbial hat. And it's Arsenal. Arsenal's name is out. Arsenal's name is just come out the hat as of right now. So I think they can. Okay.
Bayern, I think, isn't it?
So we'll wait and see, boys. We'll wait and see. Just wait for this reaction here. So they're going into the pot now. Because they can only be in certain pots. I think. Let's wait and see.
Yeah.
Right. They're twisting them now. There's a number of pots they can be in. It's being opened, I believe, as we speak right now. Let's see who they get. It takes so long to undo these balls. It's crazy to me. He's going to open it up now. And that is B. They get Sevilla. Arsenal are in Sevilla's group. Arsenal versus Sevilla.
They're loving that.
Perfect group for them. They're through. They're through.
That's it.
Easy game. Easy life.
That's what they get. So they got Sevilla. That's decent. That's decent for Arsenal. I think they'll be happy with that. Next name out of the hat is Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid. So they can't be in Group H because of Paris Saint-Germain. They can't be in Group H. I don't know, but what else they can't be in. In fairness, there's mad rules about that. Sometimes it's not as easy as just what country they block out. So they've only put 2 balls into the pot that they can actually be in. So
it's to do with the. So they got one half of the groups play on one night, and the other half.
yeah, TV and all that plays a part.
TV, home
I
and
think
away.
I think they can only be in E and G, I believe, and they get Group E. So they've got Feyenoord.
Who's that?
Atletico Madrid.
Great. Wait. So is Benfica the only one left that I would just happily take for Man United
Yes.
right
now? Other than that, Man United are even going to get Benfica, Bayern Munich, Napoli, or Barca.
Wonderful.
We've come out the hat. Man United have just come out, people. They've pulled Man United out the hat.
Can we even get
Hang on. So we can be in a. Oh no, we're already mangled. We can be. It's just gone off my screen again. So we can get Benfica, Napoli, or Bayern Munich. That's who we get, and we're going to find out now who we're going to get.
Bayern.
I bet we get Bayern Munich. Harry Kane after saying he's going to win it. Man United are in Group A with Bayern Munich. Man United get Bayern Munich.
It's not. Aye. Flipping out.
Harry Kane's coming home.
Typical. Anyway, hopefully our other teams that are in our group aren't mad.
So we can't get Bayern.
Damn, that's a big one. I think Leipzig just came out the hat. I'm not too sure what group they go into, but there's very few options for them. They can either have They could either get Napoli or Man City. It's Group G, I think. There's only 4 options that they're flashing on the screen in front of me right now. So, but Man United, Bayern Munich. Whew.
You know what? Rashford has to run it. Rashford has to run it back against Upamecano. That's all I'm gonna say. He has to run it back. And
So,
Kim Min Jae's got 2 of our targets are at Bayern Munich right now.
Leipzig are going to go in Group G. So it's going to be Man City versus RB Leipzig, the same as the quarterfinal last year.
I swear, every year, Man City play Leipzig.
You like Leipzig and Shakhtar. Wait, Shakhtar's in this in the Champions League this year, right? They're getting Shakhtar as well. Guaranteed.
Every single year they play Leipzig.
Okay, boys. So the next name's coming out of the hat now, being done by Joe Cole, and it is Inter Milan. So I think they can only get. They go straight into Group D. They can't, for some reason, they can't go into Barcelona's group, so they go into Group D with Benfica. That's just straight in. I don't need to draw that one out. Yeah. So in terms of pot 2, who hasn't come out yet? So far in pot 2, who hasn't come out has been Porto and Real Madrid. So essentially, it will be Porto will go into Barcelona's group because they have to, and Real Madrid are in Napoli's. Napoli, Real Madrid in the same group is a good group.
Oh, that's tasty.
It's a good group.
Newcastle do not need that group.
Yeah, well, the good thing for Newcastle is you definitely miss Bayern Munich now. You can't get them.
Yeah.
You can't get them, as it were. But in terms of your... Really and truly, you only really want to miss the Napoli group. Group C you want to avoid, and you probably want to maybe avoid Group H with Barca and Porto. But all the other groups, I think, are really... Dortmund and Paris Saint-Germain, maybe. Interesting. So that's it.
I think it all depends on pot 3, really. Because I think there's some dodgy little games in pot 3. I think there's a really dodgy game in pot 4, which I think people are overlooking. Galatasaray is always a horrible place to go because of how good the atmosphere is. There's so many players who've crumbled there. If they end up in like a Napoli Real Madrid group or a Bayern Man United group, I could see them taking a big scalp at home. That atmosphere is no joke.
All right, pot 3. They're getting ready for pot 3 now. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not aware, the pot 3 teams are Shakhtar Donetsk. We all know them, famous for producing Mudryk. FC Salzburg are in this group as well. They've also got AC Milan. Of course, 7-time Champions League winners. Semi-finalists last year until they bottled it. Braga are in this group. I've been to Braga. Nice little stadium. Nice little stadium out there in Braga. PSV Eindhoven are in this group. Big Dutch outfit. Of course, the next team up, one of the famous teams from Italy, Lazio, back in the Champions League again. Then a team I cannot pronounce.
It's
I'm
Red
not
Star
even gonna-
It's Red Star Belgrade, Terry.
Oh, he's Red Star Belgrade, is it? They just put up an
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
FC Copenhagen. Oh, I know Red Star Belgrade. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
that-
the
next-
Serbian name.
Okay. Listen, I actually don't want them. That's a very sad game for Man United. It's the team that Man United, of course, played in Europe the night or the day of the Munich air disaster that we were traveling back from. So just for sentimental reasons, I would like to personally avoid that. However, they'd be an easy team to beat, so we might have to take them. So that's about the group. I love how they're doing this quick. Remember years back when you used to do this? It used to take, there'd be like a 20-minute break in between each group.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
like how this is
awards,
swift
isn't it?
now.
Yeah,
I
you
think
see
they've
the
listened to the
awards.
feedback. I think they've listened to the feedback that nobody gives a shit about that. Right, so the first name out, boys. The first name out of the hat, the group of top 3 is Shakhtar Donetsk.
What's
Man
Man
City.
City? Put them in
Man
Man
City.
City's group and get it over and done with.
Yeah.
Yeah, they always get them. So I
Can they
think
go
they can
there?
only be in A, B, C, or D, according to well, one is flashing blue, one is flashing red. It's blue, no, I think they can only be in E, F, G, or H. Sorry, my mistake.
Can it be
So, they
Man
can,
City's group?
so final, they can be in finals group, Paris's group, City's group, Barca's group.
Okay,
think.
then Man City's
Oh no,
group.
they put all of them in the hat. It's weird why they're doing it. They're all in the hat here. They're all. It can be any
Oh,
of
wait,
them.
Terry,
Sorry.
if they're all flashing colours, that means you can go in all of them. It's
Right,
when they're
okay.
greyed out.
Right,
grade
I
out,
get
you
it
can
now.
go
I
in.
get it. I thought red meant you couldn't get them. Anyway,
Yeah.
so they have got group. If it's G, I'm gonna die. It's a fix if it's G. It's Group H. They've got
Oh.
Barcelona and Porto.
Oh, he's picked up the wrong ball. He's picked up
He's
the wrong
picking the
piece of
wrong
ball
one.
there.
Like he's confused the cold ones with the hot ones. That's what it is. And
Yeah.
he's picked up the wrong ones at the wrong time.
You see, he's a letter off. It goes GH. He's went for H. He's a letter off. He
Yeah.
just needs to take one away.
Yeah.
I'm sure the Sheikh Mansour will be on the phone very angry about this. He's missed
The
his
next
normal
team
trip
out.
to
This is one
Shakhtar.
everybody will probably want. Is Red Star Belgrade.
You
Red
don't
Star
want Red Star
Belgrade are out of the pot. They are out of the pot. They're available to pick. Okay, so the only group they can't go into is Group H. It's the only one, obviously. It's just gone. So let's see now who they.
You know what? I wouldn't mind a cheeky group.
I think C would be a good group for them.
Well, everyone's saying Man United are out. It does depend who the other two teams are because the top 2 teams go through. It's crazy that you're out, you're done. the desperation to hate on everyone's biggest rival. We get that, but right, he's undoing the little ball now. Let's see what Mr. Eric Abidal. It's a good player, Eric Abidal. He really was. Do you remember when I'll say it in a
Alex
minute.
Song.
He's Group G. Man City get Red Star Belgrade.
So they've got Leipzig, and you know what?
What an easy
John,
group
John,
is for City.
They can do second team for the whole Champions League.
I'm telling you now. I hope that Arsenal and Man United are not on the same nights in terms of the games being played. Because if you've got Man United and Arsenal on the same night, you're not going to be able to watch it. No one's going to want to watch the other City's game. You need City on the same night as Arsenal and Man United because no one's going to care. Not because they're rubbish, but because PSV Eindhoven have come out.
I do think I think we might be on the same night,
No, you're on the same week, I think.
same week. What do you mean?
Oh, yeah. Oh no, you might actually be on the same
Yeah.
week.
We're on the same night. I think we're on the
Yeah,
same night.
typically, normally we play the same night as Man City, but one's home, one's away. But we'll see what happens. That's what they've done before, but we'll wait and see. The dates will come up soon. We'll find out. I don't actually know. I'll look. So PSV Eindhoven, Group B. So Arsenal will go up against PSV Eindhoven.
We get
They've got
Arsenal fans are rejoicing.
We're getting AC Milan, aren't we?
We're getting AC Milan. It's just so obvious.
Well, because
It's so obvious.
AC Milan can't go into Group C or D. So they can't go Group C or D. So it's literally, if AC Milan come out, there's only an option of 3 groups.
We're getting AC Milan. We're getting AC
Arsenal
Milan.
top in the
and
group.
AC
then,
Milan have just come out the hat. AC Milan have just come out the hat. Here we go. Here we go. Oh no, they're saying it can only be E and F. They're saying it can only be E and F, so we can't get AC Milan. Right.
Sit back up.
It must be, yeah.
Watch them magically pull an A ball out, though. Watch them magically do it.
Do you remember when they did the Champions League draw and had to redo it?
Yeah. All right, give me some of that. I would love
He came
that.
out twice or something, and then we got him again. Right, so they're going to be in Group. Oh my God, it's Group A. No, it's not really. Group F. Group F. What a group! Paris Saint-Germain, Dortmund, and AC Milan.
Oh, yeah, that's the
no.
group of death right there. There's the group of
That's the
death.
No.
football
that could
hipsters
be
group.
that could be Newcastle's group.
No.
Hey, give us that there, yeah.
No.
Because you've got French, a German, and an Italian, it narrows it down to pretty much being English.
Yeah.
Get it? Not only English, right? The next name out is Salzburg.
Give me that. Give me
that in Austria, bruv. Give me that.
Give me a night in Austria, bro.
It
And
can
we
be
scout
A,
some
C, or
talent.
D. A, C, or D only. A, C, or D only. I like a bit of night out in Austria. Austria's a nice little country. Been there a few times. Vienna, I went. Very nice place.
What's
Come
the
on,
group
Eric.
on the left?
Pull out an A, bro. Pull out an A. Group D. Group D.
No one's watching Group D. Benfica, Inter, and Salzburg.
We can get that one.
Groups are
Come
dead.
on,
bro.
yeah,
Some of these
yeah.
groups are flipping.
That'd be a
dead.
good one for Newcastle.
Yeah, I'll take that one.
Yeah.
Remaining in it now, there's literally
Oh, wait, Lazio, aren't we?
it could be Lazio or
Copenhagen
Copenhagen
or Braga.
or Braga, yeah. So the name out now
We're getting
is
Lazio then.
Lazio. It's going to be
Okay.
Lazio.
There we go.
No,
That's
Lazio. No, I don't want Lazio. That
I
makes
don't
a
want
group
Lazio.
hard.
Can you though? Because
No, we
was
can't
the
get Lazio.
Italian
Lazio
teams
go
on one.
on.
It's
Yeah,
the
sorry, yeah.
Italian teams on one side.
Yeah. Already there is. So they go to group.
'Cause
Yeah.
there's Napoli
So
and
we're on the
Inter.
same side as Arsenal. That means we won't be playing this. That means we will be the same night.
Yeah, we will. I think we'll.
Well,
be
no.
saying that.
Yeah, it will be the same night. Yeah, I think.
Or is it unless it's paired with a blue?
Oh,
and
by the
a-
way, that means you've got to be on the opposite sides. If Man United and Arsenal were already this side, that means that the only three groups Newcastle could be in is E, F, or H.
Wait, is that one of them? Group
Which
F is
one
the
are
one
they?
that they don't want, right?
Yeah, Group F is one they don't want.
Oh my lord.
So Copenhagen are either going to we're either going to be in Group C or Group A here. So they're pulling this out now to see
Oh,
who Man
give us
United
A,
will get.
man. Let Højlund go back to his home club.
So this is going to be it's Group A, Man United, Copenhagen. Woo! Right, okay, we've got a
Yes.
chance. we got a chance. We got a chance, baby.
Yes, there we go. Sweet. Then we can. Højlund can go back to his home country, home club. You know what I'm saying? Ericsson can go back home for a bit as well. We can pick up hopefully 3 points. Hey, to be fair, the last time we played them in the Europa League, they gave us a bit of a sticky game. Still, we only beat them 1-0 in the end.
You'll be fine, man. This is a joke. This is an absolute joke, man. You and Arsenal are flying through this group, man.
What? Fly me and
Yeah.
we've got.
You're not going to
Bayern
top it.
Munich,
You're not going to top it, but you're getting through, and Arsenal going to top their group. It's simple. And Man City have gone clear anyway, so it's just us.
Yo, Darren is not happy.
I'm fuming.
Yo,
Right, so obviously pot 4 is going to come out now. I mean, in pot 4, KJ, who do you want?
pot 4. Give me Antwerp. Actually, no, Celtic. I want to go to Scotland and destroy these man.
Do you know what? I don't mind Celtic. I don't really want because their fans get up for that, but a little bit of young boys because they're fairly
they
easy
beat
to
you
We
beat.
last
need
time.
vengeance. We need vengeance as well.
Yeah, but again, I want another easy team because again, then if you end up with young boys as an example, young boys in Copenhagen, Man United are through. Even if we come second, we're getting through. In my opinion, so I don't mind tough draws, but you know what it is. You want a few games where you can be like,
You want
we're
to savor
pretty
them.
comfortable.
You want to savor some of the games for the later stages of the group.
Of course,
But yeah,
absolutely.
give me Celtic. I want to slap them. Give me Antwerp. Give me Flipping Arsenal's in there. I don't want UFC Berlin. Well, we can't anyway because of Bayern. Don't want Sociedad. Yes, give me those guys, man. Give me those guys. Galatasaray, I'm 50-50 on. Don't know how I feel about them yet.
Yeah, I tell you what. Again, Galatasaray is a team I don't want to play. Going away to Turkey is hell, and I mean that in a positive. Their fans are some of the most passionate, diehard you could ever imagine to meet, and they make it a very tiring atmosphere. I don't mind a little bit of Antwerp, a little bit of is it Lens? It's pronounced Lens, right? Lens. Antwerp. Or young boys, they're my three preferences.
Why don't you want? Are you really afraid of Celtic?
No, I'm not afraid of Celtic. The team again going away to Scotland is a draining, horrible experience for the. It's a cauldron. So I just want to avoid stressful environments.
Yeah, did you not slap them 7-0 in Rangers, Tom?
We beat Rangers 7-1. Yeah.
I'd rather not have
7-1.
it. Fans might want it though. It's a nice cheap trip. say cheap, probably cheaper to get a plane. So the first name out is Real Sociedad. Don't really want them.
No, I do not want
Yeah,
them.
we don't have a good record away in Spain. But
Do-
it's,
To-
oh,
to
mate,
be
it's gonna be, hang on. It's going to be A or D. It can only be A or D.
Okay.
This actually. Ah!
It can only be A or D.
Give him D, please.
Oh no, there's 4 in there. They put more in there now. Sorry, my bad. I got it wrong. I
Wait.
panicked. Hang on, there's 4 teams it can be though. We're one of them, so we've got a 25% chance of it being us. Come on, Eric Abidal, don't do us in, bruv. Don't do us in.
It's gonna be
I will
A. I
beat
know
them,
it's
but I
gonna be
want
A.
an easier one. It's
It's
Group
going to be A.
D. What that group is dead. Benfica in a Salzburg Sociedad.
No one is watching Group D.
Wait, what
No
is-
one is watching Group D.
What in the Conference League is that, bro? Not even Europa League. That is the Conference League. That is, man.
That league is. Do you know what? Benfica and Inter are just through. It's done.
Yeah,
Right, the next-
Yeah, you
The
know
next
that one already.
team out is. The next team out is Newcastle United.
Woo!
Let's
What's
see
it,
who
Group
you
F?
guys can get. Hang on a bit, boy. So if they're grayed out, they can't get them. So you can get E, F, or H. So
Yeah.
you can either E, F, or H, like we said. Yeah.
Just
So
avoid F. Just avoid F.
if
Give
you
them
get
F.
oh come
Give
on,
them F. That will be
F,
the best
F,
group in
F.
the tournament.
Avoid
man.
F. Avoid
We
F.
need F. That is the group of death. We need F. Come on.
it is letter. Oh. It's F. You got F. It's F. Oh!
Yeah. Let's go.
Wow.
Let's go, baby.
Oh, no.
Let's go. Let's
Oh,
go.
Newcastle. I changed my prediction. I don't think they're getting out the group stages.
You've
Oh,
got to
my
be
word.
shitting me.
Yes.
Oh,
welcome
my
back,
word.
Welcome back to
wait.
the
Darren,
Champions
welcome
League.
back,
eh?
baby.
We
Welcome
drew Man
back.
City yesterday, and are we doing this Group F today? We're finished.
Oi, fam,
Wow.
welcome back to the Champions League, baby. You know what I'm
That
saying?
is a baptism of fire.
Oh, we're
Wow.
finished.
The next name out is
Campaign
Galatasaray.
against
Man
Mbappe, you know.
Oh, imagine Jamal Lascelles having to come on because the incentive.
Oh, forget it. Stop that.
I'm gonna see Joe Linton versus Mbappe. Yes, yes, beautiful, beautiful. Hey, you
Mate,
know what?
that-
Yeah, this is what Darren. This is you've got a free hit though. On a real,
Free
you've got
hit
a free
what?
hit.
We're gonna get clapped.
Yeah, but you guys could make it into.
Oh Jesus!
You guys can get Europa League still.
Oh, I knew. You know
Europa.
what? I just knew. Right, Galatasaray play Man United. They're in Group A. Man United
Okay.
go away to
I
Galatasaray.
can do it. All right, get to visit Pastor Fred. See how he's doing.
Listen, exactly.
that's a
I
horror
might
game,
actually
that
go
one.
to the game and get my hair done again,
Oi.
my teeth. But
Oi, Juan,
listen,
is Juan
we
still
should
there?
beat. I don't know. We should beat them, but listen, United's group's tough. I'd rather our group than Newcastle. So
Yeah. Oi, Juan Mata's still there as well. See old man Juan. Hey,
The
no, I
next-
can deal with that.
the next name out is Union Berlin, and they can go into Group B or C. So it's either going to be Arsenal's group or Napoli's group.
If it's Group B, that is a Europa League group. Every single one of those teams was in the Europa League last season.
And it's going to be Group C. It's Group C.
Ooh.
So not very many left now. So there's only 2 teams left. And who are the 2 teams remaining then in pot 4? So it's going to be Celtic or Lens. So Arsenal have either got Celtic or Lens.
Oh, what?
They'll get Celtic. They'll
Why
get
do you
Celtic.
always like even last year in Europa?
Oh no,
League,
there's a couple more left. Sorry, I misread something. There's a couple more left. Next, Young Boys are in it still as well. Sorry, there's a few more left. Sorry, this update was wrong.
Well,
My
The
Arsenal
last
apologies.
get it,
four are
I'll
there.
take it.
It's Antwerp, Celtic, Young Boys, and Lens.
Yeah, Arsenal are through, man.
Arsenal are probably going to get Young Boys. They'll probably get Young Boys here.
Arsenal
yeah,
for
Young
ages ago.
Boys or they probably get Young Boys or Celtic, but Arsenal have a Europa League group.
In fairness, though, do you know what I don't mind about a hard group? And this is just me as an old school United fan.
Yeah.
All the years where we've done well, we've had tough groups. Years where we've had easy groups, we haven't done well in the tournament. So I'm going with that omen.
Yeah, to be fair, when we
Group Young Boys are in Group G. So that'll be Man City get Young Boys as well.
Oh, well, you just knew that was going to happen, didn't you?
How lucky is City? Oh my God.
Oh man.
I'm telling you, the brown envelopes, man. We need to start using them. We need to start using them.
They were a
Flipping
letter
hell.
away from the most Manchester City Champions League group you could have ever imagined. They were a single letter away from City, Leipzig, Shakhtar, Young Boys.
Wait.
Oh, and that means Lens goes straight into Arsenal's group. So Arsenal get Lens.
Yeah, they've got a Europa League group. They're gonna clean that easy. Sevilla.
Yeah.
I can see them slapping Sevilla so badly. Like Sevilla in the Champions League just never do well, except against Man United apparently, because when Jose
Sevilla just take part in the Champions League to finish third.
Yeah, they're finished for going to the Europa League and win that instead.
So Celtic will either go into E or F. Either way, they're done because they're
not F,
average.
because that's where Newcastle.
So E or H, sorry. E or H, sorry. So yeah, they're done. The Celtic have gone into E. So that's it. That concludes the Champions League draw for 2000 and the group stages, that is, for 2024. So very, very interesting indeed. Very, very interesting indeed. We'll get the full groups up on the screen for you all in just a few moments' time. Why is that not showing up there?
Right now. Arsenal fans are absolutely buzzing.
Oh, Arsenal fans should be absolutely over the moon. That's Royal Antwerp that go into the final group there. But yeah, Arsenal and City fans, I think, have got to be over the moon. Listen, I'm playing a little bit. Got some tough away games, but I'm still looking at my group and thinking, yeah, like I'm confident we'll get through. Newcastle, though, listen, you get out that group stage, Lee Gunner will kill me for saying this, but that's like winning a trophy.
Listen, if we get out that group stage, we'll probably win it. There's no way.
Yeah, if you can get out that group stage, you've got the ability to win it. If you can knock out teams that are in that group stage, you've got the ability to win it. But
money on them beating PSG.
Not
yeah, so just to add this to the stream so you can see it. That there, as you can see, is Group A up on the screen. Sorry, Group A, B, C, and D. Official, as you can see from UEFA. That is the teams that are in it. Yeah, I mean that Group A for Man United is the toughest, probably that side of the draw. We'll get the other side up for you in just a moment's time.
So can we predict who we're going to go through in those groups?
Yeah, so let's go back to that one then. Put that one back up on the screen. So in terms of this here, who are you predicting to go through in Group A, boys? Who's going through in Group A?
Bayern
on top, Man United second.
Yeah,
Bayern and hopefully Galatasaray.
What about Group B?
Arsenal on top, Sevilla second.
I reckon Sevilla top, Arsenal second.
I reckon Arsenal top, Lens second.
Okay. Group C?
I'm going Madrid top, Napoli second.
Napoli top, Madrid second.
Wow.
Madrid top, Napoli second.
I'm going to go Madrid top, Napoli second. And Group D, the famous Group D.
I'm going Benfica top, Inter second, you know.
Nah, Inter top, Benfica second.
Yeah,
no one, and give the spots to two other groups that are better.
No. I don't think anybody would do that. Yeah, I agree. Viewers, let us know who you think's going through in those groups, people. And the other side of the draw, we'll just get that up on the screen for you as well in just a second. There it is. There we have it for you up on the screen now. Group E, boys. Who's going through in Group E?
Atletico.
Yeah.
I'm going Atletico and Lazio.
Lazio top and Atletico second.
I'd say Atletico top, Lazio second.
Yeah, that's what I'm going with as well.
Lazio
what was it?
Top, Atletico second.
What about Group F? Group of Death. What are we saying?
Woohoo! I'm going. You know what? For Darren, I'm going PSG first, Newcastle second, surprising the world, getting through to the Champions League knockout stages. I've got you back, Darren. Don't worry.
You know what? I agree. I'm going to have to be positive about this one. I reckon PSG top will get second.
I'm just going to throw a mad one out there. Newcastle top, Dortmund second.
Woo! Newcastle top. Listen, I predicted you getting out the group stage earlier. I am going to change my mind now. Unfortunately, I'm going to say Dortmund PSG. I think you'll come third in the group. I don't think you'll come bottom. I think you'll become a Europa League team after this, and you'll drop down. But it's a hard group indeed. Man City's group. Do you think they'll top it?
Yeah, just by they'll get the,
They've got some stiff competition, to be fair.
they'll get topped by 1 point. Like, it'll just be so hard for them. It'll be a struggle.
They've never had to play any of these teams before, so who knows? I definitely don't think they know how Leipzig plays.
Yeah, I'm guaranteeing you, Man City clean sweep, five flipping wins, bruv. Or 6 wins. Sorry, 6 wins.
No, you know what it'll be? It'll be 5 wins and a draw to like Red Star Belgrade or something.
Yeah. When they finish the group off and they put out their third string because they can in the last game. Sure.
And how about Group H, boys? Barca's group.
Probably just how it is. Barca top, Porto second.
Barca and Porto.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, well, Barca were really poor last year in the Champions League, but they had tougher teams in their group. That's, for me, they're more than good enough to get themselves through there. And we are missing a part of the story in your group, though. Of course, Tonali returns to the San Siro.
Yeah.
So, listen,
You know what?
There's always a chance.
I think Milan, I think we can go undefeated against them, you know. I think we can beat them at St. James's and frustrate them in the San Siro. I think it's literally, I think PSG, because of Mbappe, I think they will do the double over us. But all the other teams, as hard as they are, I think we've got a chance against all of them.
Dortmund, yeah.
They're chokers.
They're not looking the same. They're not looking the same. You know,
I don't fear Dortmund. It's just that crowd at their arena is different. How we deal with that, I don't know. But at home,
I for one, will be eagerly awaiting the Dan Bayern versus Kylian Mbappe matchup.
He can't be serious. He can't be serious and do that one. He can't. He has to switch it up. There's no way. He get
what? Matt Target.
Hold on. Mbappe plays on the other side, doesn't he? Against Trippier.
No, I thought
it depends. They've got they might get Koulibaly. They've got Ousmane Dembele now as well. So either way, Dan Burn against Dembele as well. Like,
listen, he shackled the lats of Saka. He shackled the lats of Salah. He'll be all right, man. He's been all right. He'll be all right.
Yeah, listen, I think that there's that brilliant group Newcastle in, I think, from a neutral's point of view to watch. Man United's group, I think all rivals' eyes will be on that no matter what's going on. I think Arsenal and City have got such simplistic groups to qualify from, especially City, that, you're going to get, at least 2 English teams through. But there's some decent groups. And what I like the thing is, when you get a few, and I don't want to be rude, dead groups, like there is the one with Benfica in, etc., it means you'll get the majority of the top teams go through, in my opinion, and you'll be a lot of top teams in those knockout stages, which is always what makes the Champions League amazing. So, yeah, I'm really psyched for this now, and there's so many tests for our teams. You look at Arsenal, we talked about them earlier. The likes of Saka, Martinelli, etc., playing, Declan Rice, all playing their first Champions League games. There's still a lot of people that won't say Saka's world class because he's not played there yet. You've got those tests. You've got, Bruno and Rashford. How will they deliver this time in the Champions League as an example? Newcastle's return. I mean, you're being written off by a lot of people now, but sometimes teams that get written off rise to the occasion, just like you did in the league last year. And look, City, I don't mean to dismiss them. We all know they're through. That's the easiest group they probably ever had in Champions League history. Some comments here says, I can't lie, best chance ever for City to go back-to-back. Pep the GOAT is what Micah says here. A lot of people would agree with you. Manny here also says, at Newcastle fan, that's UD, no chance. Captain America Pulisic is cooking you at St. James's Park.
Is Captain America Pulisic even going to be fit for St. James's
Exactly.
Park?
We'll be fine at St. James's. Don't worry about that. We'll be fine.
I can't lie. Best chance ever. Oh, sorry, I already put that one up there. My apologies. Happy with Group B. Come on, you Gooners. I bet you are. I could hear us. I heard the sigh of relief coming from North London from where I live. I'm so happy as a Barca fan. Yep, great group for you, Debbie. Did my Pep say UEFA, or was it Daddy Shake?
Did he pay UEFA?
Oh, did
pay UEFA? Sorry, my dyslexia. Yeah. No, he didn't pay him. Arsenal struggle in the Europa. They might not make it out. Come on. No, I don't
should be sacked. If he can't make it out of that group, he should be sacked.
No, he should, man. That is a Europa League group.
Yeah, there's no way.
They're calm, man. They're cleaning that group.
You got to get out of that group. Mbappe is the shareholder of who?
Wrong country. Wrong country. The Qatar is the owners of PSG. Saudi's owners of Newcastle. I see what you're trying to do.
Even
there.
though, but Newcastle ain't
oh.
NCFC though. Newcastle were NUFC.
NUFC.
NCFC is Notts County.
Well, maybe Mbappe's got a deal going. You never know.
Maybe he owns them. Man United versus Liverpool Europa final this season.
Oh, yeah, that would be epic. That ain't
Cheers.
happening though.
Why is a Liverpool fan here? Icardi will remind the world what a great striker he is. Forza Galatasaray. Hell is ready. P.S. I'll be okay with third place finish and UEFA Cup.
You know what? Yeah, low key, their team's not bad. You know, Galatasaray. They got obviously man like Fred. They got Dries Mertens, Icardi, old man Juan Mata. They've got a cheeky little team.
Oh my God, they've got Lucas Torreira. Remember him for Arsenal?
No way.
Yeah, they've got Lucas Torreira.
They are a flashback team right now.
Oh my! They've got. Remember that left back, that Spanish left back City had for a year, Angelino. He's now there as well.
No.
Oh, so he knocked us. He destroyed us when he was at Leipzig in that game.
They've got Ziyech as well, haven't they? They signed
He ruined us.
as well.
He ruined us.
Ziyech as well. Oh, literally, they're running it back. Okay.
It's like a Premier League rejects team, isn't it? That's basically what it is. United is going to win their fourth title. Greetings from Cuba. That lives in Montreal. Cuban that lives in Montreal. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. Listen, I hope Man United win their fourth Champions League this year because it will make me cry with happiness if we were able to do that. So I hope your super chat comes true. Rude Boy says very happy as a Arsenal and Celtic fan. Yeah, I bet you are. A Guna, sorry for United. Toon, hard groups, more so for the Toon. I genuinely wanted... this here says I genuinely wanted Kane and Bayern. We struggled in Europa. Final and semis is struggling. Here what you're saying.
Genuine question. Why did Arsenal fans want Bayern? I'm just going off personal experience with us. We were sitting there asking for revenge against Real Madrid. It never comes. When a team has your number, they has your number. They've done you 15-3 in the last 3 games. You just know what happened. You could be going into it in fine form. Bayern could be struggling. You just know. It kicks in. The stigma kicks in. The voodoo kicks in. And all of a sudden, you're 3-0 down.
I hear you on that. Brandon's joined us now. Obviously, a Gooner. How are you feeling about your club's draw?
We should absolutely piss through that group, Terry. If we don't, then Mikel Arteta has to be sacked. And that's genuine. Like, that's a Europa League group. Sevilla, PSV, and Lens. We should absolutely tear through that group, no problem at all. And to answer your question, Tom, I'm a little bit on the fence about the whole Bayern thing because I would have liked for us to at least get one big team in our group because when, I don't want the players to go into these games thinking, the same thing as what I basically just said, which is, we should get through this group easy. And then all of a sudden end up out. Because that's kind of like the thoughts that I had on Arsenal through the Europa League. Like they turn up to the game like they'd already won. So I don't want that. But yeah, I mean, interesting. Newcastle, group of death. So.
Yeah, I mean, their group's horrendous, really. Like, nobody would want a group. I mean, they can get out of it, but nobody wants a group like that. Does the panel agree? If Arteta doesn't get out his group, is that a sackable offence?
Yes.
Yep. 100%.
We've got an Arteta sexual here.
No.
I can tell you.
No, I'm a more of a rational fan. No, it would be a major blow if he doesn't get through this group. Major blow. But I like to distance myself from sacking managers because I think sometimes it's not justified, and I think sometimes that obviously it can be. Should he be sacked? I don't know. Maybe the manner of how if we don't get through, maybe the manner of how we don't get through.
Let me pose you this question.
Be a factor in it.
Let me pose you this question. Knocked out in the group stages of the Champions League, plus winning no trophies again, should Arteta be sacked for that?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, that's fair. You know what? I respect you, man.
Because I'm not being funny. If we get knocked out of the Champions League, but we win the Premier League, That's still a relatively good season. Well, that's a great
Yeah.
season for us, really.
Do you know what I think? I look at it this way. I think it will all depend on what you're doing in the league at the time that happens. If come December you get knocked out this group, but you're 15 points at the top of the league, then I think there could be calls for it. If you're joint top, 1 point off, playing well, and went out of this, again, I think you'd be stupid to, because you could upset the league season. I think it's always contextual, but if he doesn't get out this group, sacks or continuing, it will be. It's a smudge. It's definitely a smudge that goes against you. There's no doubt about that whatsoever, because it's a simplistic group, I think, for a team of your quality to get through. Look, and even with Man United, listen, we've got Bayern Munich, but I still thoroughly expect us to get through our group. It's not as easy as yours. It's nowhere near as easy as City's. It's not as hard as Newcastle's. But we can beat Bayern Munich at home. How do I know that? We've beaten Man City at home. We've beaten Arsenal at home. So we can beat Bayern Munich. Doesn't mean we will, but we can. And we can beat the other two teams at home 100%. That's 9 points. Away at Copenhagen, we should win. That's 12 points. If you lose one and draw the other one, it's more than enough points to get through. We should qualify through this group. As much as rivals want to banter, I'm not going to lower the standards and act, hang on a bloody minute. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Fulham have contacted Man United about signing Scott McTominay. Come on now. And this is what I want. Me and KJ spoke to Dean Jones backstage about this, and we said, this is what we want to happen. Paulinho goes to Bayern. Scotty goes to Fulham, and then Man United hijack Gravenberch from Liverpool. That's what I'd like to happen, but we'll see.
Go for it.
See, look, this man here says Terence is deluded. I want to ask the panel, don't blow smoke up my ass. Am I deluded to think we can qualify through this group?
No, you should.
What is this madness?
No, you should qualify from that group, no problem at all.
Yeah. And you can beat Bayern Munich at Old Trafford.
Of course.
I 100% agree.
We've beaten Man City there, and they're a better team. So why can't we beat them? It wouldn't make sense. Who just dropped out? Tom dropped out. Steve's here with us, who's obviously a Newcastle fan. How are you feeling after getting that group?
I love it. I'm excited, bro. This is what the Champions League is about. You play the big boys. I want to see what Newcastle United are made of. I want to see what Eddie Howe is made of. This is perfect. This is what I wanted. This is the Champions League. Bring it on. I'm not scared of no competition. I tweeted I wanted Man City in the Carabao Cup draw, and I said, just give me them at home. Guess what happened? I got Man City in the Carabao Cup. Bring it on. I want Newcastle to play elite opposition at every single possible opportunity, because iron sharpens iron, right? So that, for me, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled.
And also for the fact that Steve probably supports half the teams in that group anyway. So either way, he's winning.
Do you think we're going to go through? Do you think we'll go through the group?
I'm saying right now, Milan top, Paris Saint-Germain second, Newcastle third, Dortmund bottom. Dortmund have been terrible again. They were terrible against Köln. They got a last-minute Daniel Malen goal. They were trashed the whole game. And then they drew against Bochum. Also, again, very, very poor display. So I'm saying right now, Newcastle third.
So
if we do get it, I reckon we finish above Milan and Dortmund.
Yeah, but
Dortmund have been... Yeah, go on.
If we get
you
it.
think Milan can top the group?
Yes.
Newcastle can also top the group. Because
Milan they were very good against Torino last Saturday. Very good. And then they played Bologna away as well. And they were a bit meh, but they got a 2-0 win. I think Milan they're looking all right. So, and then we don't know what we're going to get with Paris Saint-Germain. We don't know what we're going to get quite yet.
It's just Mbappe, though. Mbappe.
Yeah, of course. Gonzalo Ramos, Kangin Lee, they made some good signings. I like Ugarte as well. Lucas Hernandez. Bro, it's going to be a good challenge. So I'm up for it. I'm excited. I ain't scared. What's scared to be scared of?
I'm not scared. No, I hear you. No, listen,
I'm
I
excited.
I do get where you're coming from. I totally get where you're coming from. It's going to be interesting to say the least. I'm very, very excited about it. I really, really am. So, yeah, I'm intrigued. But yeah, it does look like, by the way, like Man United and Arsenal will be on the same night, which is a little disappointing just from a match reaction point of view. I hate watching those two clubs at the same time, but that's just me. Well, I can't watch them both at the same time. I watch Man United, but there we go. Look, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's tuned in today. Please make sure like buttons are hit before you leave. Transfer news later on this evening for you tomorrow. Dom Hassam's on the show in the afternoon, and then in the evening, we'll be going live with the Top 6 show right through to transfer deadline day. So make sure you're tuning in tomorrow. Until next time, take care, goodbye, God bless, and we'll see you all again soon. Peace.